On Wednesday, September 14th, John J. Miller, author of the Big Scrum, How Teddy Roosevelt Saved Football, visited the U of M campus. His lecture on the game and its origins drew a warm reception from the gallery at the Clements Library. As it turns out, the game didn't quite resemble the one we know and love today.
As Roosevelt shivered, he watched a game that was quite different from the sport we know today. There were no quarterbacks, there were no wide receivers, there were no first downs, there were no forward passes. Football was in its infancy. Before play began, the teams met to discuss the rules. What number of men would play? What would count for a score? How long would the game last? They were like school kids today who have to set up boundaries, decide how to count blitzes, and figure out whether they play a game of touch or tackle.
Despite the differences, the dangers of playing organized football were vast at the time. While players didn't have to worry about big hits like these, concerns about player safety were still front and center.
In 1905, 18 people died playing football. Now there's a controversy today about concussions and the long-term health effects of head injuries, and these are important conversations, but they have nothing on what was happening a little more than a century ago.
Some viewed this loss of life as an absolutely unacceptable consequence of the game of football. Due to these concerns, the game of football and its existence were in danger at the turn of the century.
So football occupies a central place in our lives. Yet there was a moment when football was almost taken away from us. A time when its very existence was in mortal peril, as a collection of progressive-era prohibitionists tried to ban the game. They objected to its violence, and their favorite solution was to smother a newborn sport in its cradle. Had the enemies of football gotten their way, they might have erased one of America's great pastimes from our culture.
However, in 1905, President Teddy Roosevelt gathered the football coaches at Harvard, Yale, and Princeton and instituted a new set of regulations on the game. Among those changes was the creation of the NCAA and the advent of the forward pass, additions that would help transform the game into the football that we know today.
And let's face it, objectively speaking, football is an awesome sport. No other game has such a combination of brute force and pure grace. 99-yard sprints and goal line stands. The crashing bodies at the line of scrimmage and the careful choreography of a well-executed play involving 11 men in the infantry combat of a rushing attack or the air war of a passing assault.
And John is right. Without football, we wouldn't have things like this to look forward to every Saturday. Reporting from the William L. Clements Library, David Nowes, WOLV-TV.